Today we are starting this review already in the car because this is a car meant for driving, at least according to Opel. My name is Peter from Fuel and we are currently in the OPEL Mokka GSE. And that means that this is the hot version. I will not bother you with the entire history of GSE, but this is the most current and most powerful version of the GSE line, and it is the fully electric Mokka. So we are actually driving with a car with a bit of potential, which is very interesting because if you've seen videos that I've made of the Alfa Romeo Junior Veloce and the Fiat Abarth 600e, which is effectively the same car underneath, you know that my conclusion of those cars was that they are very cool and very fun and very, much more power, much more everything, but not really usable, especially not in the Netherlands. Luckily, we are currently not in the Netherlands. We are on some challenging roads around Madrid, as my co-driver almost chokes on his beverage here. But this is a place where we can actually utilize the potential of this car a little bit, because we have 280 horsepower, we have 4-pot brakes, as you can see, that are very necessary. We have 350 Newton meters of torque, and we go from 0 to 100 in under 6 seconds. So those are very interesting and appealing statistics. Unsurprisingly, the same statistics exactly as the Junior Veloce and the Abarth 600. Because in the end it is a Stellantis product and they reuse their platforms where possible, for good reason, because of course that saves money and that gives us more options. Now obviously with road testing these kind of cars with a bit of extra performance meant to be driven, you still have to be a little bit careful because we are on public roads in the end, even though there's not much traffic. It is, a place where we have to share the space with other motorists, cyclists, people on bikes and so on. So luckily Opel has thought of that, and tomorrow we are going to drive on an actual racetrack with this car to see what the performance really means there. And we're going to have a co-drive with a rally driver, so that should definitely be cool. But for today we focus on the on-road performance first. So it's still a very recognizable Mokka shape, a shape we all know and some of us love. I quite like it, I have to say. Here it sits 10 millimeters lower on its springs, so that gives you that sporty look. And if we look here, we have the 20-inch rims with the GSE brake calipers in yellow, and around the car there's a few accents like those stickers here on the side. Personally, I'm not a big fan of those. But if we walk further to the front, you can see it is a bit of a boring color here in this gray, but also some small accents like here, GSE on the side. I think it's quite an understated car in terms of its siblings from Abarth and Alfa Romeo. Those are much more in your face. This is a lot more sedated, if you want to call it that way, much more Opel, I think, as well. And that is for some people, but also for other people I can understand that you want the laryness of the Abarth or the Alfa. I quite like it, I have to say. So what can we do with this car on the public road? Well, 280 horsepower is twice as much almost as the standard version, the standard electric version. So that is a huge upgrade. And I have to say it is also still very manageable in this car. The Mokka as a car itself, it's a crossover SUV-ish kind of car. Not too big, but certainly not small either. And the 140 something horsepower that the standard version has is fine, but not much more than that. This one though, with double the power, makes things certainly very interesting. Now in order to tame all that fury, there is a limited slip differential in the front. And that is an important thing to note because it is a lot of power going through only the front wheels. And that limited slip diff obviously helps you to keep the power on the road, which is crucial because if it's not on the road, you can't use it to begin with. Here on the inside of the Mokka GSE, Opel pulled off the same tricks as Alfa and Abarth did with the interior. So we have some Alcantara on the door, we have some metal pedals here at my feet, we have a nice racy steering wheel, there's a few performance features in the infotainment system, all little touches that make it feel a little bit more special. Which it definitely should because it is expensive, but everything here is standard, so that's good. There's basically no options to pick apart from the color. So everything in here, but also on the outside, for example, the Matrix headlights, those all come standard in this top of the range model. The big one though are the seats. You can see that these are quite the bucket seats, of course, for that racy feel. And they do definitely feel racy. You have like big bolsters here and here on the side as well to sort of hug you in place when you do some serious cornering, which is nice. Although I do have to see how this will wear over time. For example, the bolster here on the side is quite high. With getting in, you really slip and slide over it. So it's always interesting to see how that will last over the lifespan of the car. But the big one is, if you've seen the videos I made from the Junior and the Abarth, then you know that the back of those seats was rock hard. Up to the point where it was so hard that it was basically making the whole back seat completely unusable. Anybody sitting there touching the seat with their knees was instantly uncomfortable. And that is a mistake Opel has not made, because the back of these seats is soft. So as you can see, I fit behind myself, no issues whatsoever. I am touching the seat with my knees, but it's not an issue because the back of the seats is soft. And that really ruined the entire experience back here in the Junior and the Abarth, that the rear seat was so hard that you couldn't sit here comfortably at all. At the moment you started touching the seat, it was basically game over as far as sitting back here. And that was a huge problem, because in the end, this is a car that you're going to use to transport your children to school on Mondays. And if they can't sit here because it's too uncomfortable, then it sort of renders the whole car useless. And I think it's a complete game changer here that the seats are soft on the backside. Downside of the seats though is that they are enormous. Sitting back here, I have basically no view out, and I'm looking at this plain piece of seat in front of me. I can't really look around the seat this way, and it's even, for me as an adult, taking a lot of my view through the car away. So if you put kids back here, they really feel sort of tucked away back there. And it's an issue to see through the car properly. But that is unfortunately the consequence of these big chunky bucket seats that offer all the support in the front, but yeah, a bit of less visibility back here. Oké, nu mogen we even op het circuit gas geven. Als de mensen voor ons dat nou ook doen, dat zou mooi zijn. Kijken wat de auto echt kan. Nou, een klein rondje op het circuit hier achter mij. Heel klein, een outlap en een inlap. Dus ja, niet echt een vliegende ronde kunnen doen. Maar wel vet om even te mogen proeven aan wat er kan met zo'n auto. En hoeveel grip er is van dat diff. En hoeveel je eigenlijk kan doen als je dus echt de ruimte hebt en niet op hoeft te letten op features. Wel gaaf. Beetje jammer dat ik halverwege de ronde op de limiter drukte met mijn duim. En ineens vast zat op 74 km/h. Maar details mag geen naam hebben. Wel tof om te doen. En ook super leuk dat Opel ook wel inziet dat dit soort auto's zeker hier natuurlijk wel een plekje hebben om dat soort dingen mee te pakken. Het is echt geen auto voor een volledige trackday. Maar wel tof dat je hier een beetje kan voelen wat er kan. So with this Mokka GSE, the Mokka lineup is now complete. Opel offers this Mokka as a pure combustion, as a hybrid option, and fully electric. And now with this one, you have the hot, crazy version on top of that. I got the price list right here to give you the overview. You can already start with the 1.2 liter turbo with 136 horsepower for 30,000 euros. So that is the very base model, and you can start speccing up from there on. The next step is the 1.2 hybrid. Then you get a 6-speed automatic with 145 horsepower. That starts at 32,000, so that's a 2,000 euro jump. Then you can move on to the fully electric one. You get 156 horsepower starting at 34,000 euro. And then this one, the ultimate everything you want with basically everything included, is the 281 horsepower GSE, and that starts at 44,000 euro. So there's quite a range of prices starting at 30, ending at 44,000 euros. So that's over 50% extra. But you do also have a lot to choose in terms of powertrain, usability and trim levels, because all versions have several trim levels as well. So after 2 days of driving this Mokka GSE, what kind of conclusions can we reach? Well, I think the Mokka in itself is still a cool family little crossover SUV that is practical, stylish, efficient if you want it to be. And with all the choices you have within the model, I think there is a Mokka for everyone. The big game changer for me is the fact that this car is more usable in day-to-day life than the Italians that I've mentioned in this video. Especially the rear of the seats is a true game changer in terms of how you use and how you can deploy the car, because the whole back seat is now actually usable. The performance is great. I think it's really nice to have that little bit extra, or twice as much extra almost, as the standard electric version. I think that's nice. That gives you a lot of additional performance to explore and exploit when and where you can. In all honesty, the driving that we've done here in the past 2 days is not really relevant for day-to-day driving, but it is cool to see that the car is actually capable of doing such stuff. So if you have a cool area around your house or where you live, where you can actually utilize the performance, I think it's a great car. But especially the fact that it's more usable in day-to-day life makes me pick this one over the Italians, because it is just more usable more of the time. And that performance, even though you might not be able to exploit it all the time, I think is a nice bonus. And the fact that everything comes standard in this top-of-the-line GSE model, I think is an easy pick therefore as well. 44,000 euros is a lot, especially considering the Mokka already starts at 30,000, but I think the choices in between, there is a Mokka for everybody to pick and choose, depending on what you want in terms of trim level and powertrain. So I think that is a strong proposition from Stellantis in terms of what you can use this car for. That's all I got for you in this video. Let me know in the comments below which version of the Mokka you would pick, and if you would go for the hot, crazy one, if you would pick this GSE, the Junior Veloce, or the Abarth. Interesting to read. Let me know in the comments below. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video. A sub to the channel always is appreciated, of course, and I'll catch you guys again in the next one. Cheers!